Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here again. Last week I said it was 2024. It's only 2022, in case you're watching this 100 years in the future. It's August 31st, 2022. And if I make a mistake on the date, for some reason, I have a lot of problems with the date, just tell me, okay? Only Mario is here right now, and he was just accusing somebody else of being behind the times, but he's got a computer with no camera. Okay. So mind you, I told him MarioTheRecruiter.com that his sound on this computer is 100% better than what he had last week. So it's always something, it's no visual, no camera, or it's a real lousy microphone. Tech is always a problem. But we're going to go anyway. We're ready. Ready, Mario?
Yeah. All ready. Totally ready.
Okay, let me see what I've got here. Okay, actually, this is from Trisha Tampkin. She's a trainer. She's a recruiter and a trainer. And Rich is a good friend of hers, and he loves her training. Yeah, he thinks she's great. She made a little speech. I don't know if there's anything to discuss, but I'm going to read what she said. She said, recruiting, and she meant, agency recruiting, is one of the best careers out there. We still have in this country, she means the United States, a labor shortage in professional, technical, scientific, and executive jobs, and that's not going away. Yes, there's an ebb and flow in every industry, but there are very few ways to make multiple six figures with a flexible schedule and work from home. So save your money, buy good training, and go out on your own. Okay. Being a recruiter is hard, but rewarding. Okay. Personally and professionally. Yeah. She was talking. Hi, Ernie. She was talking to people who were looking for jobs on my job group, Jobs for Recruiters.
It's also financially very rewarding.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said, you're not going to make that kind of money working for people, especially if you got no education. We know a few people who didn't go to university, but are making big, big money. Okay. They don't have the Sitzfleisch.
Animal, it's far better not to go to a university than go for a philosophical degree that has no value in today's market. Okay.
You're kind of right. Although, you know what? I went for one of those stupid degrees, I still think about all those things. I read the books, lots of them. I didn't even read them when I was in school.
Not those degrees. Those degrees were better. I'm talking about the stupid ass degrees we have now.
Okay, mine were stupid ass as well. Is Ernie going to say something? Were you raising your hand?
No, I'm just listening. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Ernie is foodindustryrecruiter.com. Okay. And Mario's MarioTheRecruiter.com. Okay. Okay. Obviously, Ernie told us last week he's got tons of education. Does that help you in your current work?
Yeah, I think it does. I think any education helps you.
Yeah, but you've got you've got a law degree of some sort, right?
Yeah, I got a law degree. I think education is important. I grew up poor. I grew up picking out in the fields. It gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of things I wouldn't have had.
Okay, but Ernie, you were a VP of HR. On what basis did you get that job? Do you have an HR education as well, or employment law, or?
It's a law degree. It's a law degree that did it.
Okay, Ernie told us you're allowed to call him Dr. Ernie. He won't mind. Okay.
Dr. Ernie.
Dr. Ernie Moreno.
I'll call you Dr. Ernie when we get some other schmo here who insists on a title. You call him Doctor, buddy. Okay.
I thought of it like my name is Ernie Moreno, right? So I thought Earnmore is pretty cool.
Earnmore.
ERNMOR.
He put the Earn in Ernie, and Rich put the big in Big Biller. And Mario put the Mary in Mario. Okay. He's married with a kid. Okay. So anyway, that was Trisha's praise for recruiting. Okay.
May I add one other thing to it that I think is kind of interesting?
Go ahead.
A lot of the corporate recruiters are asking for jobs, and it's like, I think you should go out on your own. I think it's always a good idea, but it takes a certain individual to do that, and everybody creates barriers to not, and they don't even try. They just say, I'm not that type. I don't like to do it. But you got to be crazy enough to go ahead and do it and believe in yourself. And that's the big thing.
Once you believe in yourself. I have an issue with that. But first, Rich, I had already introduced you as Rich Rosen put the big in Big Biller. How's that?
Put the R in Rich.
I love it.
Ernie put the Ern in Ernie. And
Yeah.
Mario put the Mary in Mary.
Okay, leave it. I'm not gonna say
Man,
anything.
I'm laughing at my own jokes. And we get two other people watching this on YouTube. Yeah. Okay, so hold on a second, Ernie. And is David here, the guy who never shows his face? Okay, I saw somebody left
probably
a
him.
message.
There you go, Dave.
Hi, Dave. Okay, so we got two invisible people who can speak, even though they're disembodied. Ernie, what you said? Oh, it takes a certain kind of person or something like that. What are you
Well,
talking about?
I think it takes a lot of people don't have enough faith in themselves to say I can do it on my own.
Okay, so that's where I left off. Yeah, before I went on my tangent, I told everybody, I tell you all the time, if I stop for a minute, I'll forget what I was saying. Believe in yourself. What's yourself? Your certain abilities. That's what you have to believe in, that you've got something that can enable you to do the job. What things are you talking about specifically?
That if you had nothing, you wouldn't starve, you wouldn't die, that you would still make a living. You figure out a
See,
way.
this guy's he calls himself doctor, and he can't even tell us specifically what he's referring to. I'll tell you.
You got to be creative, and you just got to do it. You got to
It's
just
so
go.
vague. I'll tell you something.
Tell me something.
Okay, Rich was talking. He had that guy, that very presentable, articulate lawyer working for him, and he said that guy was a really hard worker, but he was untalented as a recruiter. Okay, so hard work is not gonna
No, but
it's
I'm
not
talking
going to
about
make
people-
up
I'm
for a
talking
lack
about
of
people that are
talent. There's some specific talents you need. Sorry, I'm trying to talk over you to be a recruiter. What
Yeah, but
talents are you talking about?
I'm talking about like the guys that are corporate recruiters, the people that are corporate recruiters, and saying, "What do I do now? I don't have anything," And you gotta have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay,
there are
well,
people-
let's see. That's another vague term. Mario, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I kind of find it quite hilarious how the corporate recruiters are going to be the first ones who are going to be looking for jobs. That is because when we approach them, they treat us like the enemy. Okay. So it's like how do I say? It's kind of like a sweet revenge. Okay. In some ways.
Well, there's no revenge. If they're looking for jobs, we're looking for business. Okay. If the economy goes down,
Yeah.
everybody suffers.
See, the problem is this, and I'll tell you, most corporate recruiters don't like external recruiters. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
well, why should they?
Yeah, that's true. But see, it's kind of fun. But on the serious note, the reason they can't go out on their own is because they're scared of rejection. And maybe sometimes the 9 to 5 also will be an advantage for them. They don't want to take the risk.
Okay.
Simple.
I don't think Amy is scared of rejection. I don't
Amy,
think
see,
I don't think she represents the average corporate
See,
recruiter
one
either.
question,
Okay?
yeah, exactly. Look at the ones who are
Amy-
looking for jobs.
Yeah,
Most of
Amy's
them are
like in
in
the
the-
1%.
Yeah, exactly.
Amy, or as Ivan calls her, Amy. 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 Dave, I know you're there now. Do you want to say anything? You're welcome to speak up if you want. I've never really seen you much, so I have to be reminded or to let you speak. Do you want to say something?
I was going to say that I've worked in an agency before, and I think that a lot of corporate recruiters haven't worked in agency, so they don't understand they don't know how to partner with agency recruiters in a lot of cases. So part of what Mario is saying, I
Very
believe,
true.
is correct. But I would say that some of the companies also have the infrastructure and enough people in place where they're not at a point where they would use like a traditional search firm unless they're doing like executive search or something like that. That's typically what I've seen.
Yeah, you're not answering the question. Okay, I'm not going to call on you again. Okay. Okay,
answered
let's
the
move
question.
on. Let's move on. Okay, here's Rich is busy on the phone, or maybe I should hold this question off. It was directed towards him. What about this one? Because this addresses what Mario said. There's recruiters job hunting now, just like he said, and they're posting all kinds of stuff about how recruiters that they have to deal with now suck. He said, look at what they do to fellow recruiters who are job hunting. You have to beg them to follow up when they said they would. Okay. I've seen so many recruiters complain when they have to deal with recruiters about how bad recruiters are, getting back to even just, keeping an appointment time. Anybody want to comment on that?
Everybody's got their their blocked off.
Okay, no.
I'll say something, but I think they're the same as everybody else. They're no different.
No, they're worse than other people. That's what
Uh-huh.
I hear. Okay.
Well, I see, they're the same as everybody else. They're people. But they're people that are looking for
We're
a
the
job.
cream of the crop here on the Recruiting Animal Show, everybody. You can't judge them all by us. Ernie thinks everybody's like him. I get back to people, and so do all those other recruiters. No, no, no. And I know it because I've got that job group, Jobs for Recruiters, and there's endless complaints about how rotten the people they have to deal with are. Does anybody else want to comment on that before I move on? No? Okay.
They should change their niche.
Well, I don't know, but I'm wondering if there's something question when you're hiring a recruiter, if you could find out,
Animal.
maybe they don't want their people who employ recruiters don't want the recruiters wasting their time on losers. They say, "Oh, don't follow up with him. He'll get the message if you don't call
No,
back."
Animal, I totally agree with you. The problem is due to the barrier to entry to recruiting is so easy. Okay. All you need is a phone and a PC. Okay. And
Yeah.
little knowledge. You
Yeah.
have so many recruiters who don't have the basic habit of following up. Okay. That's
know-
why in our ATS, we have a system where we have to follow up with every candidate.
Well,
There's
you bought a new
notification-
ATS. I saw you raving.
Yeah.
You bought a new
Yeah.
ATS and you're raving about it like
Not
crazy.
raving. I mean, I was not raving.
You
I
were
was
raving. Don't
Okay,
tell me you
cool.
weren't.
Okay, cool. Because it's damn cheap and I like it.
Tell everybody what it is. They're
Well,
always wondering what should I get?
The ATS is Team Taylor, and it costs me up to about $200 a month for up to 25 users.
What's it called?
Team Taylor.
TeamTaylor.com. It's very similar to Loxo, Ernie, but it's
Uh-huh.
got some of the it's got a few,
But it doesn't
less
integrate with your website. That's your problem,
features. It
right?
does integrate. This integrates with my website. In fact, I have a career website because of this site.
Oh,
This
okay.
ATS. It's pretty cool, actually. Okay. And
Okay.
I mean, for the bang for the buck, since I'm building my team, I really don't mind. Come on, $200 divided by 25. It's coming to about $5, $6 a person.
Okay. Is it
That
an
too is
Indian? Is it an Indian
No,
company?
no, it's not. I don't deal with Indian companies. Okay, sorry to say that. But because trust me, I worked with Zoho once, and I want to throw
Really?
I
Some
want to throw the
people like
PC at
it.
the wall. No, it's only Outplay is one of the only good companies I've seen. Okay, personally,
Okay.
that really does a
He's
good job.
just so everybody knows, he's Indian. Okay.
I'm not Indian. I'm Sri Lankan.
Okay. Well, okay. Right. So, I'm
There's a
sorry.
big difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Here's the thing. Okay. I just want them to know it's not me saying what you just said. I don't deal with
It's okay.
Indian
It's
companies.
all right.
He's covering his,
Let's
he's
be
covering his
realistic
butt.
here. Okay. This is the fact. Okay. Simple as that.
Okay.
The fact is this software is based out of Europe. Okay. And the team, it's a pretty good system.
I
That's the
suspect
first-
that they're cheap because I've never heard of them. Maybe they're dying for business and that's why they're handing it out so cheap. And
not
they're going to
really, not really. It's see, if you're a one-man show, it makes no sense. But if you're looking to grow a team, it makes sense.
Okay.
Because either way, it's $200 a month.
Okay. What about this?
That's
Moving
not a
on.
good price.
Moving on. Dave, I was just joking about not asking you. You're welcome to speak up, okay? Put
I-
down your
Dave, he just
sandwich
jokes around like
whenever
that.
you
No,
want to.
extremely
It's
sensitive.
okay. I will cut you off if I think what you're saying is worthless anyway. So you don't have to worry about censoring yourself. I'll do it for you, okay? Okay. What about if a person put this on their resume under soft skills, experience navigating hostile work environments? I would be intrigued. I would be intrigued by that. Anybody else? Or would they say
Yeah.
that's just too
No, I would ask
bizarre.
him, what does he mean by that? That's a very good
Yeah,
question. to ask.
I would actually ask, I would be curious to ask the guy.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the thing. Like, if you put that in there, does that give you reason to call him? Would that give you enough reason to call him?
No.
If he had some other things, yeah, go ahead.
If he
Mario.
had the skills that we needed for the role, yes, we would call him.
I would think the question would be
Yeah,
there. The question most
Yeah.
people would say, maybe that's a reason not to call him because it sounds weird.
Well, if you're looking at the culture of the company, you wonder, is it his fault or not?
That's it. If there's any hint that maybe the guy's a troublemaker and blaming other people, people think it's a kryptonite. It's a radioactive.
Yep.
Okay. So I think most people will be turned off, but I'd be really curious to hear those stories, right? Okay. Tom Chun, one of our favorites. Okay. He's been on the show lots of times. And he's talking about the Jerry rule. And the Jerry rule is if somebody cancels an interview time or an appointment, that person is finished. They are not going to take a job, even if you offer it to them. Wipe them out of your mind. Don't waste any more time with them. And Tom has a story about that. He said, this week I'm following Jerry's rule about no reschedule. Don't ever reschedule someone who cancels. He said, I've been approached twice this week by people this is so hilarious. I pre-screened a year ago who were no call, no shows for their in-person interviews. He said, one time I violated this rule and hired someone who pulled this and it was a mess. Never again. Never again. If somebody is scheduled and cancels, do not reschedule them. That's the Jerry rule. And lots of people say it's true. Anybody want to comment on that? No. Okay.
No, but I mean, I think you're right.
I think from the agency perspective, I think the rule holds true, but on the corporate side, people, life happens. Like I've had people that were scheduled and were involved in the car accident and we didn't find out until a few days later. My general rule is I will give them the benefit of the doubt and I'll ask for a reason. And if they don't provide one, then I cut them loose.
Okay, they did provide a reason, the car accident, and the people on the Recruiting Animals show, what I would say I've heard in the last few years is those guys seem to have a lot of car accidents and their grandmothers seem to die many times over, okay? So they are lying.
Yes,
I don't know why you
definitely
think it's different for a corporate recruiter than an agency recruiter. Are the candidates any different? No.
No, but on an agency recruiter, you're going to put forth the best candidate and your reputation you don't want to have tarnished by someone that's not reliable. On the corporate side, I don't care about that, right? Because I'm just getting the best candidates to the hiring manager.
So you don't care if they're reliable or not?
No.
Is that what you're saying, Dave?
No.
Don't hire this guy. I got candidates. I don't care if they're not reliable. That's your problem.
That's not what I'm saying.
He's a corporate
That's
recruiter.
exactly what you said.
But
No,
corporate
I said on
recruiters
the
get paid
agency
anyway.
side. I give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I use the 2-strike rule. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me, and they're done.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
on, Dave, right on. I agree.
Okay, here's something else for corporate recruiters from our good friend Amy. She said, so what I love what she said, this is so beautiful. Okay, you have to be a corporate recruiter to do this. She said she'll have a good candidate. The candidate wants a lot of money. She goes to the hiring manager and says, this is what it's going to take. The hiring manager gets called, oh, I don't really want to pay that much, and starts pushing back. And she says, hey, remember when I hired you? Remember the kick-ass offer I got for you? I had to work for that. Okay. And then they get all kind of humble now. They start shrinking. They've got what Seinfeld calls shrinkage. Okay. She puts them in their place. I love that. Anybody else want to comment? Because she's placed the hiring managers she's presenting people to now. She knows all about them and she can throw it in their face. She said, I'm just advising them. I'm not throwing it in their face. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ernie, anything?
It's corporate recruiting. I don't know anything about.
Oh, okay.
That's a different world.
Okay. Dave, would you throw that in somebody's face if you got them a good deal and then when they were the hiring manager, they didn't want to pay?
No, I don't believe in using strong arm tactics.
What's strong arm? That's just reasonable. Say, look,
well,
you
it's
were
like
happy
beating him
when
over
I
the
did
head.
it for you.
Because some of the skill sets, the market values fluctuate, right? And I work for a tech company. So we're paying top dollar in some cases for certain skill sets. But when the market goes up and people, like, for example, I think part of the collapse of all the corporate recruiters is because they started, at one point, there was more recruiting roles than there was
Forget it. Finished. We're finished. I'm moving on. SAT scores, SAT scores. We got them here. I know you've got them down there. Okay. I don't know about in other places. Okay. But this woman said, recently I've started asking my most successful friends who have salaries of over $500,000 a year what their SAT scores were. Most of them got perfect or near perfect scores, and none of them studied for it. Okay, that sounds like something you should ask a candidate. Are you allowed to ask for their SAT scores?
I don't,
cares?
It's an
I
intelligence.
don't know if it makes any sense, you know?
Why?
Yeah,
She
who
just
cares
said,
about it?
But no. I mean, if you were older, they changed the way the scoring went.
Yeah.
And some states have SAT and some states have SAT depending on the university that you're applying to. Then
I
you
don't
might as well get
understand.
into the LSAT, which is a
This
law
is an
score, or the
intelligence
MCAT.
test. It's an intelligence test, right?
It's a
Or
test to get. It's a
verbal
test to get.
ability and
It's a test to get into the university.
Animal,
yeah,
do you
but
think- do you think
what do you
that
think it's
really-
testing? Go
Animal,
ahead.
do you think that really applies to the ability to perform the job?
She said it does, and I think so too, probably.
Maybe
Okay.
so, maybe it doesn't. But it
Okay,
is. It's
what
not
about
relevant to
this?
our
What about
screening
this?
kind
This
of
woman said she had a client who wanted all the candidates to take a Mensa test. That's for the geniuses.
Were they hiring
you-
for Mensa?
I don't know. Would you work with a client that made that demand? Anybody?
Sure, give me 35% fee.
You know what I could never understand about Mensa is that in Spanish, Mensa means stupid, a stupid woman. Yeah, that's you're a menso if you're male. You're
Is that what they call it? What in Spain, for instance, or Latin America, what do they call it? Is it still the Mensa Society, or
I don't know. That's what I mean. It's totally opposite. It's Mensa.
You remember they had a problem with the Chevy Nova? It means
Yes,
something
no
bad.
lie, it doesn't go.
What does it mean in Spanish?
Nova means doesn't go.
Oh. Okay, that was a car, everybody. If you're not old enough to remember, maybe they still got it. I don't know.
It's no va means go.
Okay, see, that's the problem. They didn't have
No
enough
go.
diverse in the people in their product management team or something
Well,
like that.
It's like the quarter pounder.
Okay.
In France.
Yeah, what is the thing from the
I
Royale?
forget. Yeah, the Royale.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, here's one. The internal. Okay, this guy gets a search. An agency recruiter. He gets a search. He finds a candidate. The hiring manager likes her, and it turns out that the internal team heard about her from a website called JoBot a month ago. They did not pursue her. Okay, now that he presented her to the hiring manager wants to see her, they're going to interview her. And JoBot claims that they own the resume for a year. It's some kind of AI powered job board. Okay, what would you do? Anybody want to take that on? You got the person in the process, okay? They didn't. They passed on her, but now it's just like they were dealing with another recruiter before. That recruiter's got a claim on that candidate, okay? That's a terrible situation.
That's another recruiter that submitted them.
No, there's a website. It's just like it was another recruiter submitted them. It's a website, JoBot, JoBot, and they found that person there, but they make a claim.
It
on
all
the
starts
resume.
with your relationship with the hiring manager. And is he going to back you up, or is he looking to get out of paying you?
Okay, but let's say JoBot was just another recruiter. Okay, I have a friend who's a tough cookie, and he said he made them pay double. They had to pay the original recruiter, and they have had to pay him. Okay, because he was really the one that got things rolling. Okay, what would you do, Ernie? So you're saying if I was buddies with the HR manager, or what would you do?
I had two situations that I can think of. One was where they hired the person that I had presented previously. They hired him through another recruiter. My relationship with the owner got me paid.
So they paid double? They paid double?
They paid double. He just said, pay him. Went down the line. That was it.
Okay, what's the second experience?
The
You said
second
you had two.
experience, was I had a candidate, I submitted them and had good relationship with the company. The VP of HR told me, hey, we got him submitted by another candidate, but nothing ever happened. They said, so now you brought him to our attention. I said, well, why don't you, and I had good relationships, and give me the name of the other candidate, of the other recruiter, and let me talk to him. So I called the other recruiter and I told the recruiter, hey, look, I got a chance for us to do a split here. I got your name, I got our candidate submitted. I didn't tell him the name of the company or the candidate. I said, I got them submitted. if you give me permission and you write me a letter saying we're in agreement and we'll do a split, we'll get it. Let's go. Do you want to do that?
What if he said no?
Then I'd say, okay, thank you, bye.
And what would happen?
I don't know. I would just,
Okay, okay.
don't
Anybody
know what
else?
would happen, but
Anybody else want to comment on that?
but I would also say that we did do a split and we did both make 50%.
Yeah, no, it worked for you, but there's a lot of recruiters who are not friendly, okay? And they're greedy and they would not do a split, okay? They would say, that's my guy, okay? Buzz off, Ernie, okay? That's what they would say. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Dave, what would you say? Looking for you. Where are you, Dave? There you go.
The corporate
I
guy?
would say that it's in corporate side, they have an ATS and there's usually like a rule of ownership. And depending upon the contract terms that are signed, it would dictate how it would respond. When I was an agency and we had candidates that were that we presented that the company didn't have an interviewing process, we were able to convince the hiring manager to pay us because we got them in the process, even though they were in their system.
Thank you. Okay. Rich is so nice. He left us this picture of his map to look at through the whole show. Okay. Thank you, Rich. Well, maybe he's got diarrhea or something. Okay. And he couldn't help it. He had to run. He had the run. That's why it's called the runs. Okay.
I will, let me mention one thing, Animal. David and I happen to live in the same town. What are the odds of that?
Is that how he happened to come to the show?
We've never met.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else. I had a
Crystal Lake, Illinois, the home of the recruiters.
where I thought
There's
you
a lot
lived
of
just
us
outside
here.
Chicago. You lived
Well, it's
outside
outside
Chicago.
of Chicago, suburb of.
It's about 50 miles northwest of Chicago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now I have a story like that too. I met a guy said, does somebody want to talk about recruiting with me or something like that on, I can't remember what the message was, on an old blog I found. And so I sent the guy a note at that time. And because I had a blog this is a long time ago. And turned out the guy lives a mile away. He lives a mile away from me. So we met at Starbucks and we became partners in a website. It was a very popular site at one time. Okay, moving on. But there are coincidences like that. You meet people online and out of the whole world, they're your neighbor. It's really strange.
That's
Okay.
cool.
How did you find out that Dave lives so
He
close
sent
to
me
you?
he sent me a chat note.
Oh, that's not.
I Ernie's name looked familiar and I looked him up on LinkedIn and it said
Give
right-
Ernie some job orders. Okay. 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 Now, here's something interesting about why candidates have to leave a company. This woman said she wanted more money and she wanted a better job title. Okay. They absolutely refused, no matter how much she pressed them. And so finally she left, and then she saw her own job advertised with a new title and more money. Okay. And so somebody commented, he said, apparently HR, I think it was I won't mention the guy's name. Apparently HR does not allow management to modify existing jobs, but when they post it as a new role, they can put on a new title and change the salary if it's something it looks like it's a different position. So if you have a job, I mean, you might be stuck there and the company just won't budge, even though they've actually got the resources to do it. Has anybody ever heard of that? And tons of people commented the same thing happened to them. So I know it happens a lot. Anybody here ever recruit someone and then find out that was the case? Okay, well, but that's a factor. One of the reasons why people want to go. Okay, you see, I copy. If Rich makes a comment, I've got some, I take it up, and but he's not here for me to ask him. Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
let me
Oh,
see.
there's
Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Hey, Sasha, nice to see you.
Hey,
Do you have a
Sasha.
website
Nice
yet?
seeing
Hey.
you too.
Where
Do you have a
are you? Where
website?
were you? Where were you?
Oh, well, this is a fancy glamping resort available on Google Images. As
Oh,
you-
look who's here. Look who's here.
Yeah, the
Okay,
view is good.
yeah, Mr. Iceland. Okay, Rich, I've got a question for you. Are you
Yeah.
awake? Are you awake? You're gonna
Looks
get on the
real,
phone or
right?
go back to the washroom or what's the story with you? Okay.
busy week, it's been a
I'm
busy.
sorry, but my reception is bad and
We
I
can hear
believe I
you
got
fine. You're good. You're good.
I'm good?
Everybody put up your thumb if you can hear Sasha.
You can hear
Yeah.
you.
I can
Okay,
hear you.
thank you. Thank you. So
Okay.
what was your
So-
last question, please?
Well,
were
I
you
didn't
asking
ask, I didn't ask you, okay? And I
Oh.
don't think you'll be able to hear it. I'll put it out there. You're welcome, Sasha, to ask, okay? I had the Rich question. Rich
Hold on.
said something. Just give me a second. Okay, this guy said,
Get your act together.
Yeah, really.
okay. Oh, this guy, okay. I had a bunch of questions for Rich, okay? But this guy said that he said niche recruiting is better, but I live in a small city, so
yeah.
I have to be a generalist. And Rich said, "You're a kook. You want to take that up, Rich?"
Yeah, he went, because he's like, oh, I gotta be local. Like, for what reason? This isn't the 60s anymore. He's fooling himself thinking you have to be geographically situated, shall we say. So he should be covering it, the coast or region.
You know what? When I see people make comments, I can tell what they want to say better than they can themselves. Even Rich, the guy who put big in Big Biller, I can tell you. He said, "Why work in one city? Get on the phone. It doesn't matter if you're in Boston or Phoenix, okay? What are you, crazy? Get a niche and get on the long distance." That's it. It's just like he said, it's not the 1960s. Oh, Mom, hey, Auntie Florence is calling. Run, get on that phone. No more, okay? Anybody else?
Rich has a big long distance bill.
Yeah. Anybody else want to argue here that there's a value in working in one city only? Okay, because I think there might be. Okay,
There's a
anybody
value
want
in
to
it.
pick that up?
Well, there's a value in being in a location, but you're going to be a better value if you're you're in a particular vertical covering the East Coast, the Northeast, Massachusetts, whatever, or whatever country the guy was from. You don't have to limit it to 60 square miles.
Okay, well, Rich, actually, it's very hard to get people relocating. Okay, I think we talked about that last week. It's hard to get them relocating. So, what you're doing is just working in a bunch of different cities. You're not working nationally, so to speak. Am I right?
Absolutely. But I mean, like, I work national, but if I have plenty of friends that just work New England, they just work the East Coast. I mean, most jobs, how many people are really relocating today?
So Rich just pulled the rug out from him under. He says, "My friends," he says, "they work in a geographic area," but I told this guy not to do it.
No. They work on like the East, the Central, the West, not in Boston only.
Okay.
But if you're doing like finance placements, like financial service guys or investment brokers, you can make a killing just doing New York and New Jersey. You don't need to call, Des Moines, Iowa. So,
Okay. Okay. Sasha was hungry to get in on this one. Do you want to talk?
And I believe I'm irrelevant for this topic since I'm an internal recruiter. But
Yeah, but you've got
I mean, we
ambitions. You've
have-
got ambitions about doing conquering the world. I mean, is it that you want to work all of the United States, or I thought you like your
Well, I
constant.
would rather focus on a specific niche. But let's say, taking for an example, the U.S. market. I mean, why would I focus only on Chicago or New York when you can have all the time zones? So East
You
Coast
know-
and West Coast.
Well, you know what? You get to know if you're working in a limited area. It's easier to get to know that the market in that area. It's not so giant. Am I right about that?
it's easier to get known if you're just calling the Northeast versus the whole West Coast. Like, if I had to start all over again, I would have just picked the East Coast or Central or whatever. I wouldn't work the entire US.
There's the nugget for the whole show. Okay, if Rich started over again, what would he tell his 18-year-old self? Just take a region. Don't take the country. Okay.
Let's write this down.
Okay,
Put
but
down
I
the beer
hear
and get back to-
he's done okay.
His 18-year-old
anyway.
self, put down the beer and get back to class.
Exactly.
Anybody else want to talk about that? Working one city as opposed to a wider area? Anybody? No.
I think what the guy or the recruiter meant was, if you find a local person, your chances are better of hiring that person.
That's not what he meant, but I'll take it.
But that's what he does mean.
What?
Because
Okay,
I have
that's
the
what Ernie
ability, I
means.
have the ability to understand what he says.
Okay,
Explain to me what I'm saying. I'm confused now. You guys both confused me.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know what?
I want
Rich,
a translation as well.
don't
I'm
worry. I don't
I'm a
speak
non-US
Slovenian.
citizen, so please do.
I'm a non-US citizen as well. I don't even have a passport right now. You know, we're notorious. You can't get it into on a flight in our airports. And if you want to get a passport, you have to line up for 3 days without leaving the office. It's a scandal here. Okay, you know, because of the COVID. Okay, but Rich, I talked before about what was the question, Ernie, that I asked? Is hard work enough? It was something about talent versus hard work.
Hard work produces luck. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was going to use your example, Rich, of the guy who being a hard worker is not enough to be a good recruiter. There's special talents you need, and your lawyer friend, who you told us was a very hard worker, he burned out very fast because he was missing. What were you told us before? He didn't have the gift of
He's
gab.
working with a crazy man.
Yeah, well, no, you burn. If you're just calling random people with nothing to say to them, yeah, you're busy and you're working hard, but you're not working smart. He is, he was a great example. Worked hard, nice kid, smart kid, but he didn't have the nuances just to read the room, have a conversation, just quickly pick up a phone or.
Okay, no, he wasn't calling random people. You just said he didn't have any way to build rapport with people. Is that and engage them? Was that the problem?
That's 100% of the problem. He couldn't build rapport, but the lists he was building weren't always the appropriate list either.
Okay, so he wasn't sourcing it properly, or okay.
It was a combination.
Rich, let me ask you this question though. When you're a corporate recruiter and you're a corporate recruiter and you decide you don't want to go agency, you don't want to start your own business, what do you think's the reason for that?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Why don't people want to start agencies? Because they're afraid. I mean, they're petrified of not having a salary. They're petrified of being on their own. Why they don't understand that companies don't care. Sasha, you're internal. If you're using an external recruiter, do you care what company they're from? If it's a big company, you probably like them even less because they have a bad reputation or bad recruiters are there. So if you're solo, if you're good, you're good.
Okay, so you're saying that the brand of the company, of the recruiting firm, doesn't matter? Like people don't care if they're working with ABC Recruiting or Korn Ferry?
Yeah,
I think you're wrong, Rich.
Listen, I left management recruiters after 6 months of being there. And you know what it did for me? Nothing. No one cared. No one said, oh, you're not an MRI anymore. Oh my God, if you're not with management recruiters, the biggest recruiting firm at the time, we can't use you. It actually worked even better because they're like, oh, MRI or Korn Ferry or whoever, they're a bunch of clowns. You're always getting their junior guys. So, companies don't care. They want a result. And
So it's more you, the personality.
yeah, because if they're hiring, I tell them, listen, you get me from, discovery call from cold call to invoice, there's no one else doing it. So do you want that or you want to flip it over to Korn Ferry or Heidrick & Struggles or whoever and, or MRI and, have some, new kid out of college do it.
Once I used to work with a partner, a fantastic recruiter, much better than me, but I set up a bunch of meetings for us with big companies in the big towers downtown. And they actually, I just said, look, just meet with us for 15 minutes. If you don't like us, just send us on our way. Unfortunately, they did send us on our way. But the problem was we were a great team, but they would say to us, I might have mentioned before, again and again, hey, how many retail managers did you place last year? Oh, yeah, we did 3 searches like that. They said, well, this recruiter did 50. And they said, okay, how many lawyers did you place last year? Well, we placed 5. Well, that's not, and these other guys are specializing in it. They got a brand for that.
Generalist. Who wants to hire a generalist unless they know you?
Okay, well, to sort of say what you're saying is that they don't care what company they're dealing with. Yes, they do. Okay.
2 different things: being the big company, being just a name recruiting firm no one cares about, or being a generalist. Apples and oranges. Do you want to hire someone that knows what they're doing and all I do is place retail guys? Or do you want to hire a giant firm because they place everything and I have no personalization?
Okay, anybody else got a topic? Anybody else want to talk about something?
No, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, go ahead, Sasha. I'm
I
sorry.
have to bring up.
She's got a technical problem. Her face is frozen and now I can't hear her either,
I
okay?
think that
Where
is
is Sasha?
relevant.
Sasha, where are you?
My internet provider is awful and I got frozen. And like I said, I have bad reception. However, you mentioned something which, questions me as someone who would just start in the industry. You are all well known for the things you already do, but I don't have any feedback. So I have to build my brand, my reputation from zero, from the bottom. And what will be a good selling point to potential clients or a good thing? I mean, how could I start from the scratch?
If you're, I mean, what do you play? What are you focused on? I don't know what company you work for. Like, what's their company do?
Well, for instance, if I start for myself,
No, but like the
I
company you're working for now.
She's working with placing maintenance people.
yeah, maintenance, property managers, project managers.
So you just go into that industry. You start selling into calling,
She might not want to go into competition with her current employer.
that's her own problem. But if you
So-
want to
And
get,
I asked my current employer for the green light and I have it. So excuse me, but no, it's not a
So-
competition.
So
Yeah.
you're allowed to recruit in your area, your niche.
so what? So you
Yes.
call all the players that you guys are pulling from, those companies where these candidates are coming from, call them up. Because they're going to need the same people you're trying to find anyway. You already have all this experience in that space. I mean, that's Ernie, that's what you did. I mean, you came from the food industry and then you went into your own.
You just start calling, you call people up and you play against that, like saying they've been doing it forever, but I want to tell you, you're going to be one of my very special clients and I'm going to devote all my time to you. Those other guys are not doing that. What they're doing is they got 20, 30 job orders and they're scattered and they may look for your job 10 minutes out of the day. How do I know? Because I've done that. What I'm telling you is I'm going to give you 100% dedication and I'll be on it and I'll get some people to you this week. And you just make yourself that specialist. You make yourself an extension of them. And you just let them kind of understand that you're going to be recruiting for them. Later on, when you have more clients, it's a different thing. But for right now, it would make myself out to be an extension of their HR, an extension of their company. I'm partnering with you.
I think she should put herself in a Wonder Woman costume and post on LinkedIn, okay?
Careful.
She looks like Wonder Woman. Okay, she looks like it. Take advantage of it, okay? We don't look like any superheroes.
I do.
The animal is vying for a lawsuit.
Ernie looks like the Godfather. I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah.
It's the Godfather played by Grimace with that purple shirt.
But hold on. We all know a guy named Joe Mullings, okay? Mullings. You can follow him if you want.
Guy with
Very
the jet,
smart
right?
guy, and he posts a lot about his industry, okay? So if you could post on LinkedIn as well, if you have articles showing that demonstrate your know-how in your market, you might get some action from that. People would get to
the other
know you.
thing too is I think earlier Rich gave an example of it, and it's handling counters and objections and things of that sort. And that's what you become skilled at. Is like when somebody will throw a statement at you, how do you handle it? How do you deal with it? And you got to come back with something, and you may not have the answer right away, but you may get it a couple of times, and pretty soon you're perfecting that answer. It's like when they teach you how to be a recruiter and how to handle counter offers with candidates and clients. That's what you're learning and the experience. The big thing is to get out there, make that phone call, and see what happens. And you may catch a fish.
Speaking
may
of the
not.
phone, Ivan, who's been in, not our Ivan I'll give his name, Stojanovic. He's been around a long time. He's in Europe somewhere. I don't know where. Ireland. Yeah, he's in Ireland, but he works all over. He's a very highly experienced guy. He said the phone, Ernie, is not the place where you build relationships and recruiting anymore. He said it's Zoom. I don't think anyone here is going to agree with that. Am I right? Zoom.
Well, they have poor internet connections in Europe.
No, he said the problem is young people don't think of the phone as a place for a conversation. Okay, that's what he says. They don't think of it as a place for a two-way conversation. Okay, anybody got a comment? I think Rich said he doesn't get on Zoom. I don't get on Zoom. I like the phone. Well, Ernie's saying no as well, right?
I say no.
Anybody else want to comment on that? Who they spend time on the phone or on Zoom?
The phone any time of day.
Okay, thank you, Mario.
Yeah.
Dave, do you want to get in on this?
No, I would say Zoom is not, no, the phone definitely over Zoom.
Everybody is agreeing on something. Sasha, you're the final one. Are you going to tell us Zoom is your go-to communication
I'm an
device?
internal recruiter, so I don't have to build any relationships. Now, when it comes to building relationships with
That is like, can I just say it? That is the most internal recruiter statement ever.
I get paid anyway.
Exactly.
yeah, but the thing
Send a
is
goddamn resume.
the thing is, when I do interviews, I have to do Zoom because of the certain procedures that we have in our company. And I just want to make sure that a candidate is actually professional in what he does. And this theory proved right, because I really saw some lunatics via Zoom when I interviewed with them. However, when I want to engage with them,
I am wearing pants, everybody. I'm not one of those guys. Okay, just letting you know.
Thanks for
I
sharing.
would
But
say,
yes, when I want to,
administration.
build a relationship with potential hirees, especially if I like them, I'm gonna sit on that phone. I'm gonna send them text messages. I'm gonna call them. So phone, definitely.
Okay, I'm getting close. We're in the home stretch. I might have asked this question last week. I don't know. I'm losing, I can't get the date right at the beginning, and then I can't remember what I talked about. But I found this an interesting question. Could you get, and I've been in this situation, could you get a candidate to take the job if she knew that she was the second choice and the first choice turned the job down? Oh, Rich is excited. Tell us the story.
Of course,
I can't hear you.
Why wouldn't they? Can you not hear?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
There you go. Why would they not be excited? Just if they wanted the job before, I mean, what are you gonna?
What am I? Chop liver, second choice? I'm not good enough? What do I want to go with them for if they have a low?
But how can
opinion
they
of me?
know that they're not the first choice?
Exactly. That's number one. How do they know? Number two, if they are the second choice, you can tell them, listen, this guy just had a ridiculous experience. I mean, they'd be nuts not to pass him, not to take him. And but they couldn't come to terms. But they loved you anyway. Or you just tell them, listen, they're trying to figure out two roles to bring two people on. That's going to take a little bit of time now. It happens all the time. It's all about planning. Say, you got to know the room. You got to know your audience. You got to know what the players in the game are, and you set it up for success.
ABC, baby, always be closing.
Exactly. There you go, Dave. Then he quickly puts his mic back on. Come on, you can talk, Dave. So I mean, it happens all the time.
Okay. I remember that I was working on a search with somebody else and I found a fantastic candidate. I mean, I had to press them to see the guy. Once they saw him, he was just so good. They would have done anything to get him, and he turned them down. And so then the guy I was working with had to talk the second guy into taking the job. Okay. I don't know. I felt I wouldn't. I was glad I wasn't in that position. Ernie, have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's never a problem. The other guy didn't take it. Do you want it?
It's just me. It's just me, everybody.
Well, you're yelling at people and stuff, and when you're trying to close it.
No, I'm honest, you're number 2, okay? But they're gonna take you now anyway, because they can't get number 1. Betty wouldn't marry him, okay? So he's gonna go with Veronica, or actually it's the other way around, isn't it? Yeah.
So Sasha, would you take it? If you were the second candidate?
Knowing that I'm a
Knowing that they
second
turned down the
candidate,
first one, that they turned down the first one, now they're coming to you.
What's the name
No.
for that when you're the runner-up? There's a name.
Rebound,
Second
rebound.
best.
Rebounds.
no.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Mario or Dave? Any issues there with? Would you present something to somebody if? Would you think you would have a problem if they knew they were second choice?
What's the problem? If they
No
want to take the
problem.
job, they take the job. If not,
Okay.
they're
Well, you know
third
what the
choice.
thing is, all the people we're placing though, they're not hungry for jobs necessarily. We recruit passive candidates, okay, and if they want to go where they're appreciated. Okay. Last question. Anybody got some? Nobody has anything to talk about? Anything mad that makes them mad during the week that they can remember or?
You gotta be cool. You gotta be cool.
Okay. Okay. Here's a story. Okay. Last one. Okay. The recruiter, an agency recruiter, gets a position to replace a VP of quality who says he wants to retire in a year. Okay. So he gets the candidates together. He has 8 first interviews, 4 seconds, and then 2 finals. Okay. The offer is ready to go out to the candidate, and he's got a backup if the first choice doesn't take it. What happens? Does anybody know what happens to screw things up? Anybody? Okay.
The guy decides to stay on.
Yes, exactly. He's going to see out his next 3 years. This bozo, I'm censoring myself, everybody, because I want to say something a little nastier than bozo. Okay. Okay. He's going to stay there. Okay. And the company, they're nice guys. They say, okay, we should pay you something. You did all that work. What's the recruiter ask for? Anybody got an opinion?
Half.
Anybody? Half?
Half.
Half. Okay. Rich?
Well,
Well, wake up, okay? The VP, okay, what I think they should do is kick the VP out. The VP of quality says, I'm gonna leave in a year. So this guy works hard and brings in a lot of good candidates to replace him. The offer's ready to go. They've got 2 great candidates that they're ready to hire. And the guy decides to stay for another 3 years, okay?
He was gonna retire.
Yeah, they're gonna pay him something. They want to pay the recruiter something. Ernie says they should pay half. What?
I saw that guy post it. Yeah. I mean, that company was very nice about wanting to,
Yeah.
I
What should he get?
Whatever they give you, it's a bonus, because they don't owe you anything. So I would ask for half. Pay me half, call it a day,
So you guys will ask for half, okay? Because that was like 20,000.
It goes back to relationship and long-term, and you don't get greedy and you don't get stupid.
Yeah.
You just sort of play it out and they're being nice to you, you be nice to them. And then and then they're gonna feel guilty and give you another job order later on.
Okay, wait a second.
Their recruiter.
Would it be totally outrageous to tell them, listen, you should have a talk with this VP. Something's wrong with him, okay? He says he's leaving and then he changes his mind. That can't be a good employee.
But
Okay,
at
something's wrong.
the same time, you don't know their relationships. That VP may be the brother-in-law, he may be a cousin, he may be something. You don't know the relationships. Plus, they're all pretty tight anyway. So you just leave it alone.
Would you say there's something wrong with a person who does that?
They do it all the time.
Do they?
The guy may be going through a divorce. The guy, life may have gotten in the way of something. You just expect the unexpected.
Okay, if his life is getting in the way of his job, there's something wrong with him. He's not professional enough. Okay. That's what I'm going to say. Is that the final word for the show? Is that the final word for the show? Anybody else got anything? Okay. Foodindustryrecruiter.com. Mr. Purple, raise your hand. CornerstoneSearch.com. Number 11. Okay. On the Forbes list of top American recruiters. And he's a top solo. Okay. There you go. Sasha Tesanovic. Over on the other side of the world, she is Wonder Woman on this show. Nice to see you again. MarioTheRecruiter.com and Dave the corporate recruiter. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.